and give me shelter, shelter. Simple life, it's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love and give me shelter, shelter. Yeah.
So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the We Too All Liberians Movement platform. The platform that speaks to and for the masses. We say we are not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers, but rather we say we're in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. So tonight is a continuation of our show. Yesterday, we went ahead and we had a Facebook Live where we talked about a topic that we thought was pretty much close to home, titled Our Land, Our Water, Our People, Rethinking Urban Development in Liberia. Again, tonight is an extension or an extended message from the We Too movement. As usual, I'm your host, Ayiti Williams. I'd like to begin with an African proverb that states that if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a family and a community. Again, I want to say good evening, Liberians and friends of Liberia around the world. Welcome to a special edition of the We Too All Liberians Movement podcast. Tonight, I bring to you not a casual conversation, not a reaction, but a deep reflection and solemn message. A message born from our hearts and grounded in both the science that sustains life and lived realities of our community. Our land, our water, our people, rethinking urban development in Monrovia. Over the past months, we have watched with great concern as demolition campaigns were launched across parts of Monrovia, especially in and around the Boulevard wetland areas, Painesville, Jacobtown, Tyler Island, and all the ecological zones. These efforts, led by the Environmental Protection Agency and partner institutions, were justified as necessary to reclaim public land, enforce environmental laws, and reduce flooding, especially structures encroaching on wetlands and waterways. But today, I want us to pause, not to simply applaud or condemn, but to reflect on the deeper implications of how we build, how we demolish, and how we envision the future of our capital, city, and our nation. One, let's look at urban renewal, the purpose and the pitfalls. Now, urban renewal should be about more than raising buildings and clearing space. True renewal is ecological, social, and sustainable. There's a couple of things I'm going to do tonight. Hopefully, I'll show you a few photos. I don't want to get into the depth of stormwater protection, stormwater mitigation, all that stuff, the wetland protection. But I have a few photos that I am going to share with our viewers tonight. So why unauthorized structures built on sensitive land are illegal and often unsafe? A demolition that ignores ecological functions threatens the very system that protect our people, especially the wetlands that filter water and reduce flooding. We must ask, are we clearing land without understanding its function? Are we protecting people while destroying the natural systems that protect them? Tonight, I want to explore why wetlands matter, what we risk when we disturb them, and what sustainable alternatives truly look like. What are wetlands and why they matter? First, wetlands are natural ecosystems that are saturated with water, either seasonally or year-round. They may look like empty marshes or lowlands to some, but in truth, they are living systems that sustain life. Wetlands provide several benefits. Let's look at some of the benefits. Natural water filtration. They trap sediments and pollutants before they reach rivers and groundwater. I think I kind of talked about that yesterday. Flooding mitigation. That's something that they serve as. During heavy rains, wetlands act like sponges, absorbing excess water and reducing flood risks. Biodiversity habitats, home to fish, amphibians, birds, invertebrates, and unique plant species. Another component that I want us to look at is the economic and cultural value, supporting fishing, recreation, cultural practices, and livelihood. In urban settings, wetland help cities stay resilient, cool, and livable. They are infrastructure, not an obstacle to it. But when we backfill, destroy, or build on these lands without care, the services they provide break down rapidly. Now, let's look at the environmental impact of demolition. Let's get really specific. Habitat loss and biodiversity decline. Wetlands are biodiversity hotspots. I think we're going to talk about that yesterday on our Facebook Live. When we remove vegetation and disturb the soil, we displace fish, crustacean, birds, and other life forms that depend on stable wetland environments for feeding, breeding, and migration. Scientific research shows that urban development often fragments wetlands habitats, reducing species richness and altering entire ecological networks. This is not just environmental speak. This is loss of life and balance. Now, if you've tuned in, you're watching the We Too Our Librarians Movement podcast, the podcast that speaks to and for the masses. We say we're not in business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers, but rather we're here to actually sensitize, to educate, to cultivate, and to empower the socially and morally conscious youth. So let's look at this one component that I think is very important. And I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty tonight, even though I did say that I was going to get into the detail. But I think this is very important. Water quality degradation. Without proper protection at demolition site, rainwater washes soil, refuse, and debris into, think about it, waterways. This increases sediment load, pollutants, and suspended solid, temperature, and chemical stress on aquatic life. The result, water becomes unsafe for humans, unsafe for fish, and unsafe for ecosystems that depend on clean flow. Also, hydrology. When we talk about hydrology, basically we're just talking about water. Now, clearing wetlands changes how water moves through the landscape. And this is something that I kind of gave a gist on yesterday. We have a land and we go ahead and we clear the entire land, clearing out all of the vegetation. So it rains, what happens here? The water kind of, what we experience what we call erosion. It takes nutrients from the soil. In fact, it reshapes the soil. Like I said, this actually means reduce water retention. So we are unable to even retain the water because we have actually stripped off the vegetation. More rapid runoff. Same thing that I just mentioned. Greater risks of flash flooding in low-lying communities. Wetlands are not empty land. They are living flood barriers. I hope we understand that. Social impact on local communities. Urban redevelopment should uplift people, not put them at risk. When wetlands are destroyed or compromised, communities downstream experience worse flooding. Drinking water sources become contaminated. Traditional livelihood like fishing and small scale farming are jeopardized. People lost or not only homes and structure. There are many things that are at risk. The very ecological services that keep them safe and healthy. We must remember that the health of the community is tied to the health of the land and the water it depends on. What experts actually recommend. The global and scientific consensus is pretty much clear. Environmental impact or environmental impact assessments. I think this is something that should be paramount and should be top on our agenda when it comes to these demolition, especially around our wetlands. Before any major demolition or construction, a robust environmental impact assessment must be conducted to evaluate the impact on the water bodies and habitats. We must propose measures to protect natural systems. Community consultation also is relevant. The environmental impact assessments are global best management practice, I'll say. One would say best practice. And these are tools for sustainable decision making, stormwater and sediment control. With proper planning and best management practice, we can reduce pollution entering water systems during demolition and construction. I think I want to pause for a little bit and kind of show here a few of pictures that actually depicts what I'm talking about. So we see here for a second here where these individuals are pretty much doing some demolition work along a wetland. And alongside this water, as you can see here, you see the contractors, they have this silk fence and they're trying to barricade the area. And as the demolition is actually in process, we see here we have these silk fences that are being installed along the waterways. So what it does here is it actually protects the water from all of the particles, all the debris that comes from the demolition activities. So these are things that we're hoping that contractors or the Department of Public Works, EPA, or civil officials will ensure those who are responsible for these projects or these activities within the confines of the country to ensure that they're enforcing. I did not see any of these activities being conducted during the and there's another thing here. Doing these activities, we can also add to the project site. These are like silk fences or these are barricades. These bags are used actually to filter water or any contaminant that is supposed to go within that wetland or within the proximity of the wetland. So if we can do this, what we will be doing in our country will actually be protecting our wetlands from contaminants, not only for ourselves, like I did mention, people are using these water, maybe downstreams, people that are living just around that particular area, people that even go in there to fish. Yesterday we did mention, we can say without fact that people go to these streams, to these rivers, to these waterways, they're fishing, and then when we throw in these contaminants, what happens here when they fish, they eat the fish, we know exactly what happens. They get sick, some die. And then what we do here is we go in and we attribute the illnesses or the death to somebody wish this person or somebody wish things of that nature. So we want to ensure that the Environmental Protection Agency, maybe Department of Public Works within the country, or just the city, because a lot of the demolition that's been conducted is being conducted maybe by the city, by the Department of Public Works, and we know that the eye for that particular activity might be the EPA, that's the Environmental Protection Agency, that in fact go ahead and do their firsthand evaluation before the actual demolition project or process begin. So we just wanted to kind of show this. Hopefully this is something that we try to employ. These are best management practices that we're appealing through the government or those government agencies that are responsible for these construction or demolition projects. Want to make sure that they're employing those things. So stormwater and sediment control. With proper planning and best management practice, we can reduce pollutant entering water systems during demolition and construction. This include, I just show you that, silt fences and barriers, vegetated buffers, managed drainage systems. Those are some of the things that we want to make sure we see around, because we have to start from somewhere. These are not luxurious. They are essential for environmental protection. So it's not just trying to show off or to try to come in with style, but this is to protect our environment, to protect our citizens, to protect even our aquatic organism that we have within our country or within our cities. So we're not doing these demolitions, or we're not carrying on these activities at the expense of our people and the natural and built environment. Wetland protection and restoration. Rather than viewing wetlands as obstacles to development, we must preserve them where possible, restore areas already damaged, use nature-based solutions that work with the environment, not against it. Wetlands, when integrated into urban planning, becomes asset, or I would say it this way, the wetlands, pluralizing, when integrated into urban planning. We have those who have been placed in leadership to run the affairs of urban planning, right? This is what happens when wetlands are integrated into urban planning. They become assets, not liability. Now, alternative and sustainable approaches. Here are practices or practical, scientifical supported alternatives that we can employ. Eco-sensitive urban design. Build where ecological impact is lowest. Simply put, so areas that are dry, where we don't have wetlands, because we want to protect our ecosystem or ecosystems. We want to make sure that we're not building within those areas. And that has to do with even the zoning. But I just want to stick with this because we're talking about a very, very important topic that is close to home. Our land, our water, and our people. We have to rethink how we're developing our cities, how we're developing this country that goes way back to 1847. Now, constructed wetlands. When development is near waterway systems, constructed wetlands can serve as natural filters and buffers, emulating the function of natural systems in a planned, managed way. This blends urban infrastructure with nature's own systems. Simply put, this is something that we all need. But this definitely has to be, I think it has to be taught and infused into our curriculum in the country, or we can have training programs because our experts who will go to these big universities will go back to the country. You know what I mean? And in fact, if they're not working in the interest of the country, it's often said that it takes the education from theory into utility and practice. Otherwise, that education is useless. So we're not protecting, we're not creating these buffers, to protect the lives of our people, to protect, the natural habitat. Definitely, we in fact will be creating a major, major destruction to not only the ecosystem, but we will also be exposing our people to danger. So we must ensure that we're employing these measures and we're enforcing them. Community-led monitoring. Local residents can be empowered to monitor environmental health, water quality, and compliance with environmental standards. It is noticed already. We see where our people, our waterways and wetlands have become dump sites. So we ourselves, if we creating an outreach, educating our people about these things, some of these teachings that we are doing, just to enlighten our people. This is not big, plain and simple. People have to drink, people have to eat, people need place to stay. So of course, we need to build our houses right, but we have to make sure that our people are building in the right places. We have to make sure we are protecting our aquatic organism. We have to make sure that the lives of the people, the well-being, the health and safety welfare of the people are intact. So with these teachings where we're educating, not only, we're going there to demolish these properties, but we're also teaching them so that they're already aware. We're giving them firsthand information. But it is our responsibility as leaders to set this already. Zoning plays a major role. We have to be proactive rather than reactive, because we don't do that, lives will be clean, properties will be destroyed, all of our efforts will be in vain. And so it's so important. Community science strengthens transparency, trust, and stewardship. Like I did mention yesterday in our live, those of you who are into the environmental protection area, our waterways, part of our natural habitat, and the natural resources that we have to be utilized so that we can make our world a better place. But if our people are not educated, now I'm closing now. If our people are not well schooled on the impact, on not only the waterways, not only on our wetlands, but even the impact that it has on the citizens of the country. I'm veering off the script a little bit. Our waterways, when it rains, what the water does here, rainwater, we consider rainwater water that's generated from precipitation event. I talked about that yesterday. What it does, it takes suspended and dissolved solid. It goes to the runoff, it enters our storm sewer system, and then it's sent off to receiving waters. It could be streams, it could be our rivers. And of course, the wetland is one of the areas that water is supposed to go, it's filtered, and then it has to go down wherever it has to go, and it goes there. So we want to utilize this space backfill, build roads or whatever. It has to be done properly. We must use best management practices. These aquatic organisms were created for a reason. We cannot damage the natural habitat of the crayfish that you eat. You want more, right? But if we're backfilling there and we're throwing all these chemicals in there, construction materials, could be oil, could be residue from even the very equipment that we're using. If we're not doing it properly, and if we're dispensing and disposing of things all in the waterways, we'll be killing our people. So call to action now. This is where normally we close on this. We want to speak to the moral conscience of those responsible for city planning, construction, demolition, and then more. The list goes on and on and on. To the city mayor, to the Minister of Public Works, EPA leadership, and all their decision makers, you hold influence and authority to guide Liberia toward development that respects our people and our environment. Respectfully urge you to do the following: conduct comprehensive environmental assessment before demolition. We hope that was done, but that's being done. Implement stormwater and sediment control on all project sites. I haven't seen one. Preserve existing wetland and restore damaged ones. We're preserving them. If we have one that's already damaged, are we trying to restore them? Yeah, those that are building the wetland, we understand. You definitely will have to get out of the wetland. Unfortunately, the city has been overbuilt and is so congested. We have to decongest the city. This is a very complex problem. Complex, it's convoluted, it's huge, requires resources, but it's going to require dedication, commitment, and selflessness. We have to engage communities at every stage of planning and monitoring because they are stakeholders. They matter. So I close by saying this is not just environmental policies. It is a moral responsibility. Now I want to conclude with a vision for the future. Monrovia's growth should enrich, not endanger its citizens. We must commit to development that protect water or water quality, sustain biodiversity, uplift communities, honor the land that sustains us. That's that Asian Pan-African proverb reminds us. This land that we've inherited is not for ourselves, but rather it is for our children. Let that truth guide our choices today for a greener, healthier, more resilient Monrovia tomorrow. I want to say to our followers and ardent followers, even those that are following, just started following us, thank you very much for joining me tonight as we took a deep dive in this matter that we had on Facebook Live yesterday. Stay engaged, stay informed, and above all things, stay committed to protecting our land, our water, and people. I want to say to you tonight, good night. You have a pleasant night. I look forward to seeing you guys here, hopefully next week. God bless you now. Bye for now.
It's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter.